Newell stood at the center of the great chamber, looking at the worried faces of 200 alien species. As the leader of the Galactic Council, she had seen many problems, but nothing like this. The chamber was huge, with seats rising up like stairs all around her. The room glowed with soft blue light from the floating screens that showed the terrible news. Each screen displayed the same thing: a growing darkness that ate stars. "The Void Cascade has destroyed 3 more solar systems," she said, her voice clear and strong. "Our best weapons do nothing against it. Our smartest minds cannot explain it. We are running out of time." The room filled with worried whispers. The Arcadian representative, a tall being made of crystal, stood up. "Perhaps if we gave the science division more time." "We don't have more time," Newell said. She touched a control panel, and new images appeared. They showed empty space where beautiful worlds had once been. "The Void Cascade is moving faster. It learns from every attack we make. It adapts to everything we try." A small green alien with 4 arms raised all of them at once. "What about the ancient ones? Surely they left something that could help us." Newell shook her head. "We have searched every ancient library we could find. They'd never faced anything like this." She paused, then took a deep breath. "But there might be one hope left." The chamber grew quiet. Everyone knew that tone in her voice. It was the tone that meant she had an idea nobody would like. "3 days ago, our explorers found a new species," she said. She pressed another button, and an image of a blue-green planet appeared. "They call themselves humans." Loud voices filled the chamber. Some laughed. Others shouted in anger. A new species. Now, when they needed heroes and champions. "You cannot be serious," a crystal being said. "They have barely reached their own moon. They still use chemical rockets." Newell raised her hand for silence. "Yes, they are young. Yes, their technology is simple. But they have something we need." She showed new images. Humans building cities, flying planes, diving deep in the ocean. They do impossible things every day. They see problems and find answers no one else would think of. They'd break rules that everyone else follows. "That's exactly why we should stay away from them," someone shouted. "They're dangerous, unpredictable." "Yes," Newell said with a small smile. "That's exactly what we need." She touched the control panel one last time. The screen showed humans in their daily lives. A firefighter running into a burning building. A doctor working long hours to save lives. A teacher staying late to help a struggling student. "Look at them," she said softly. "They're not the heroes we wanted. They don't have magic weapons or ancient wisdom. But they have something else. They never give up. They find ways to win even when winning seems impossible. And right now, we face an impossible enemy." The chamber grew quiet again, but this time it was different. Now they were thinking, considering, wondering. "The Void Cascade breaks every rule we know," Newell continued. "Our perfect weapons and careful plans don't work against it. Maybe we need people who don't care about perfect. Maybe we need people who look at the impossible and say, let's try anyway." She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each representative. "I'm not asking for permission. I'm telling you what I'm going to do. Tomorrow, I will send a ship to Earth. We will talk to these humans. And maybe, just maybe, their crazy ideas and impossible dreams are exactly what the galaxy needs right now." No one argued. They had all seen the reports. They had all watched their perfect plans fail. Maybe it was time to try something different. Something unpredictable. Something human. As Newell walked out of the chamber, she smiled to herself. The galaxy had asked for heroes. Instead, they were getting humans. And somehow, she thought that might be even better. Captain Do-hyun sat at his desk in the Earth Defense Force headquarters, drinking his 3rd cup of coffee. The morning had started like any other, with paperwork and routine satellite checks. Then every computer screen in the building turned purple. "Sir," his assistant called from the doorway, "you might want to see this." Do-hyun walked to the main control room, coffee cup still in hand. On the giant screen, a message played in perfect Korean, English, and 50 other Earth languages. Greetings, people of Earth. We come in peace and seek your assistance. The room was strangely quiet. No one screamed. No one panicked. Instead, the technicians were already running tests, checking signals, and collecting data. Have we confirmed it's really aliens? Do-hyun asked, taking another sip of coffee. Yes, sir, a technician answered. There's a fleet of ships just past Mars. They're waiting there. Do-hyun nodded. Well, let's not keep them waiting. Send a reply. In her ship just past Mars, Jae-yun watched the humans' response with growing confusion. She had studied hundreds of first contact scenarios. They all predicted panic, fear, or at least excitement. But the humans were treating this like a normal Tuesday. We have received your message. The human reply read, How can we help? Jae-yun looked at her crew. That's it. No demands for proof. No religious crisis. No planetary defense activation. Her science officer checked the readings again. They did activate their primitive defense systems, but also started making coffee. Lots of coffee. What's coffee? Jae-yun asked. A stimulant drink. They seem to consume it in large quantities when working. Jae-yun shook her head and prepared to dock at the designated meeting point. The humans had suggested a small airbase in a place called South Korea, saying it would be more convenient for everyone. When their ship landed, they found a welcome committee that looked more like a casual business meeting. Captain Do-hyun stood at the front, still holding his coffee cup. Welcome to Earth, he said, smiling. Would you like some coffee? Jae-yun stepped forward, her translator working perfectly. Captain, I don't think you understand the situation. We represent the Galactic Council. The fate of the universe might depend on your species. Yes, we gathered that from your message, Do-hyun said. That's why I brought the good coffee, not the break room stuff. Should we discuss the details inside? It's getting a bit hot out here. Inside the conference room, Jae-yun explained about the Void Cascade. She showed images of destroyed solar systems, explained the failed attempts to stop it, and described the growing desperation of the Council. Do-hyun and his team listened carefully, asking practical questions about the enemy's behavior patterns and response to different weapons. No one questioned whether the threat was real. No one doubted the existence of alien life. They just focused on solving the problem. Let me get this straight, Do-hyun said after the briefing. You have faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, and artificial gravity, but you can't stop this thing. Correct? Jae-yun said. Our technology doesn't work against it. Do-hyun smiled. Well, sometimes the old ways work best. Have you tried hitting it really hard with something heavy? Jae-yun stared at him. Hit it. It's a space-time anomaly. Everything can be hit if you try hard enough, Do-hyun said. He turned to his team. Call Dr. Sang-mai at the physics lab. Tell her we have an interesting problem for her to solve. As Jae-yun watched the humans spring into action, she realized why Hanul had chosen them. They didn't act like heroes from ancient legends. They acted like people who had work to do and were going to do it, impossible or not. One more thing, Do-hyun said as people rushed around them. You might want to prepare your council for our methods. We tend to think differently about problems. How differently? Jae-yun asked. Do-hyun's smile grew wider. Let's just say we're about to make some interesting changes to the laws of physics. Dr. Sang-mai's laboratory looked like organized chaos to Jae-yun. Screens showed complex calculations, while tables held both advanced alien technology and what appeared to be children's toys. The human scientist had been examining the data about the Void Cascade for 3 days straight, stopping only when her assistant forced her to eat or sleep. This is fascinating, Sang-mai said, holding up a marble to the light. The Void Cascade behaves like a bubble in space-time. And what do we know about bubbles? Jae-yun blinked. I don't understand. What do children's toys have to do with a universe-ending threat? Everything. Sang-mi smiled, dropping the marble into a glass of water. Look, when a bubble gets too big, what happens? It pops. But if you poke it just right, you can split it into smaller bubbles. In another part of the facility, engineer Taiwan was taking apart one of the alien ship's engines. The alien technicians watched in horror as he connected parts that were never meant to be connected. "You can't do that," one alien said. "The safety protocols." "Safety protocols are for when you know what you're doing," Taiwan replied, not looking up from his work. "We have no idea what we're doing, so we're free to try anything." The alien turned to Do-hyun, who was watching from the doorway. "Captain, please stop him. He's going to create a black hole or worse." "Actually," Do-hyun said, reading from Sang-mi's latest report, "a small black hole might be exactly what we need." "Taiwan, can you make the engine do that?" Taiwan grinned. "Give me 3 hours and some duct tape." Back in her lab, Sang-mi was explaining her theory to Jae-yun and Hae-nul, who had arrived to check on their progress. She used simple objects to demonstrate complex physics, much to the aliens' confusion. "The void cascade is strong because it's one big thing," Sang-mi explained, now using a balloon to demonstrate. "But if we can split it up." She popped the balloon with a pin, making both aliens jump. "Your scientists said this was impossible," Hae-nul noted, looking at the equations covering the walls. "Impossible just means nobody has been crazy enough to try it yet," Sang-mi said. She pointed to a sketch that looked like a child's drawing of a spiral. "We're going to make the biggest space-time soap bubble wand in history." Before Hae-nul could respond, Taiwan burst into the lab, his hair messy and his clothes covered in strange stains. "Good news, I made a tiny black hole. Bad news, we might need a new testing room." Instead of being horrified, Sang-mi clapped her hands in excitement. "Perfect. How small is it? Can we make it portable?" "Oh, can we make 3? Jae-yun watched as the humans excitedly discussed combining a dangerous space-time anomaly with an artificial black hole, using theories that broke several laws of physics. They weren't acting like great heroes or brilliant scientists. They were acting like children with a new toy, eager to see what would happen if they pushed all the buttons at once. "I think I understand now," Hae-nul said quietly to Jae-yun. "Other species try to solve problems. Humans play with them until they find an answer." They watched as Sang-mi and Taiwan drew more plans, occasionally testing ideas with toys from the dollar store. The humans didn't see an impossible threat to the universe. They saw a puzzle to solve, a game to win, a challenge to overcome. "Captain," Taiwan called out, "we're ready to test the full-size prototype. We just need a place where we can safely create a medium-sized black hole." Do-hyun nodded, as if this was a perfectly normal request. "I'll call the facility in Antarctica. They still owe me a favor after that thing with the penguins." Jae-yun decided she didn't want to know about the penguins. She was too worried about what these humans would do next. They weren't following any known scientific methods. They were mixing advanced technology with basic physics toys, breaking every rule in the book, and somehow getting results. The galaxy had asked for heroes. Instead, they got humans who treated the laws of physics like polite suggestions and saw the end of the universe as an interesting afternoon project. Commander Yoon-gai stood on the bridge of Earth's first faster-than-light ship, the Hope. The ship's name had been Taiwan's idea. He said if they were going to do something impossible, they should be obvious about it. The Hope didn't look like other ships in the galactic fleet. It had parts from 15 different alien technologies, all held together with what Taiwan called human innovation, and what everyone else called whatever we could find. The ship's heart was a controlled black hole the size of a tennis ball. "Target in sight," the sensor operator said. On the main screen, the void cascade looked like a dark storm in space, eating stars as it moved. Jae-yun, who insisted on joining this mission, watched from her station. "The Council's ships are in position. They will support your attack plan. She paused. Though I still don't understand what that plan is. Yoon-gai smiled. It's simple. We're going to play pool with stars. Before Jae-yun could ask what he meant, Yoon-gai gave the order. The Hope shot forward, moving faster than any ship in the galactic fleet. They had removed all the safety controls that limited speed. As Todwan had said, speed limits are for people who don't have somewhere important to be. First target approaching, the navigator announced. It was a dead star, a white dwarf that had burned out long ago. Begin Operation Slingshot, Yoon-gai commanded. The Hope's special weapon, designed by Sang-mei and built by Todwan, shot out a beam of energy. It wrapped around the dead star like a rope. Then, using the ship's controlled black hole as an anchor, they began to spin. What are you doing? Jae-yun asked, holding tight to her seat as the ship moved in ways it definitely wasn't built for. Ever play tetherball? Yoon-gai asked. When Jae-yun shook her head, he grinned. You're about to see the universe's biggest game of it. The Hope spun faster and faster around the dead star. Other ships in the fleet backed away quickly. Then, at just the right moment, Yoon-gai shouted, "Release." The energy rope let go. The dead star shot forward like a bullet from a gun, straight into the void cascade. The impact was enormous. Part of the dark storm broke apart, scattering into smaller pieces. It worked. Sang-mi's voice came through the radio from her lab on Earth. The cascade structure is breaking down. Quick, hit it again. The Hope was already moving to the next target. This time, they grabbed a field of asteroids. The ship's black hole engine pulled them in, spinning them faster and faster until they became a stone whip in space. The alien fleet watched in amazement as the humans turned space itself into a weapon. They used gravity like a slingshot, debris like bullets, and moved their ship in ways that broke every rule of space combat. More incoming. The sensor operator called. The void cascade was fighting back, sending dark tendrils toward the fleet. Perfect, Yoon-gai said. Activate the mirror balls. Hundreds of small spheres launched from the Hope. Each one contained a tiny piece of the same technology that powered their black hole engine. As the dark tendrils reached for them, the spheres activated. Space bent around them, creating a maze of gravity wells and light distortions. We trapped it in a disco ball. Taiwan's proud voice came through the radio. The cascade can't tell which way it is which anymore. Jae-yun watched as the humans turned the most feared force in the galaxy into a confused swirl of darkness. They weren't fighting like warriors of legend. They were fighting like children who had turned the playground into a battlefield, using everything around them as a toy or a tool. Status report, Yoon-gai called out. The cascade is retreating. The sensor operator replied. We've pushed it back 12 light years and broken it into 7 smaller pieces. Yoon-gai nodded, satisfied. Send word to Earth. Tell them Operation Newton's third law was a success. He looked at Jae-yun's confused face and explained. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. If something hits you, hit it back harder. Basic physics. As the Hope turned toward home, Jae-yun realized that maybe the galaxy hadn't needed heroes after all. Sometimes what you really needed was someone crazy enough to play tetherball with dead stars. Diplomatic Officer Soo-jin was having a very interesting day. After the success of Operation Newton's third law, the Galactic Council had sent their best scientists to study how humans made decisions. They didn't understand how a species could be so random yet so effective. Now Soo-jin had to explain human nature to beings who had never heard of winging it. Let me understand this correctly, said the Arcadian scientist, its crystal body reflecting light across the conference room walls. You knew the gravity slingshot might create a black hole, but you tried it anyway. Well, yes, Soo-jin said, pouring herself another cup of coffee. Taiwan said it had a 50-50 chance. Either it would work, or it would destroy the solar system. And those odds seemed acceptable to you. The scientist's crystalline form flickered with confusion. Better than letting the void cascade eat everything, Sujin replied. Sometimes you have to roll the dice. The alien scientists spent the next hour trying to understand what dice had to do with space combat. Sujin tried to explain human sayings, but this only confused them more. In the lab next door, Dr. Sangmai was causing even more confusion. She had set up what she called a science playground, using simple Earth objects to test theories about the void cascade. "Watch this," she said, dropping a marble into a bowl of water. "See how it makes ripples. Now watch what happens when I add soap." The ripples changed pattern, breaking into smaller waves. "But what does this have to do with space-time physics?" asked a floating cloud-like alien scientist. "Everything," Sangmai said excitedly. "We just need to make space ripple the same way. Maybe with a bigger marble, like a moon." The alien scientists watched in horror as Sangmai started drawing plans to use one of Jupiter's moons as a giant space marble. They were even more worried when Taiwan walked by and said, "Cool idea. I bet we could shoot it like a pinball if we use 3 black holes." Back in the conference room, Sujin was trying to explain the concept of gut feelings to the increasingly confused aliens. "So you know something will work, because your digestive system tells you?" the Arcadian asked. No, Sujin laughed. "It's more like, you just know. Like how you know which way is up without thinking about it." "But in space, there is no up," another alien pointed out. "Exactly," Sujin said. "That's why we make our own up. That's what humans do. We make things work our way." Commander Yoomgi chose that moment to walk in. "Hey Sujin, we're going to try punching a hole in space-time tomorrow. Want to watch?" The aliens stared at him. "Punch a hole in space-time," one repeated slowly. "Yeah," Yoomgi shrugged. "The void cascade keeps dodging our attacks by slipping through dimensions. So we figured, why not make our own shortcut?" Taiwan says it's like making a tunnel in a video game to catch the final boss. Sujin saw the aliens' confusion growing and quickly stepped in. "What the commander means is that we're attempting to create a controlled dimensional interface using modified propulsion technology." "No," Yoomgi corrected. "I mean we're going to punch space until it gives us a door. Sometimes the simple way is the best way." As the aliens hurried out of the room to report this latest example of human insanity to the council, Sujin couldn't help but smile. Humans weren't trying to be heroes. They weren't trying to be anything except themselves. And maybe that was exactly what the galaxy needed. People who looked at the impossible and said, "Let's try hitting it with a moon and see what happens." The next day, when they actually did punch a hole in space-time, using what Taiwan called the universe's biggest boxing glove, Sujin had to explain that sometimes humans were just as surprised as everyone else when their crazy ideas worked. They just acted like they knew it would work all along. The room was silent as everyone watched the screen. The void cascade had changed. Their previous tactics weren't working anymore. The dark storm in space had learned from every attack, growing stronger and smarter. Now it moved with purpose, hunting their ships like a predator. Chief Strategist Min Seo stood in front of the combined human and alien command center. Behind her, the screen showed the remains of 3 destroyed ships. They had lost good people today. The aliens expected the humans to finally give up, to admit that some enemies couldn't be beaten. They didn't know humans very well. "So," Min Seo said, drawing everyone's attention, "the cosmic horror wants to play rough. Fine. Let's show it what humans do when we get serious." She walked to the whiteboard and picked up a marker. "I call this plan Operation Hold My Beer." Hanul, who had been working with humans long enough to worry about their naming schemes, asked carefully, "What does this plan involve?" Min Seo smiled. It was the kind of smile that made the alien representatives want to hide behind their chairs. "We're going to create a paradox on purpose." "That's impossible," one of the alien scientists said immediately. "A paradox would tear reality apart." "Exactly," Min Seo said, starting to draw on the whiteboard. The void cascade adapts to everything we do because it understands the rules of space and time better than we do. So let's break those rules. Dr. Sangmei, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly sat up straight. Oh, like in those old movies where robots explode when you give them an impossible puzzle to solve. Won't that destroy everything? Jia-yun asked, looking worried. Only a little bit, Taiwan said from his corner. He was already building something that looked like a cross between a disco ball and a time machine. And only temporarily. Probably. Min Seo continued drawing her plan. It involved using their artificial black holes to create a time loop, then trapping part of the void cascade inside it. The paradox would be like a cage made of broken physics. This is insane, Haenul said, but she was smiling. After working with humans, she had learned that insane usually meant might actually work. Commander Yungai studied the plan. We'll need a volunteer crew. Someone has to fly into the paradox to set the trap. I'll do it, Du Hyun said, walking into the room with a fresh cup of coffee. My ship's already half impossible anyway. Might as well make it official. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Sang-lei and Taiwan modified the Hope's engines to handle the impossible physics they were about to create. Min Seo refined her plan, using a paper cup and coffee stains to demonstrate how the trap would work. The aliens watched in fascination and horror as the humans prepared to do something that every advanced civilization had agreed was impossible. They weren't acting like heroes facing their darkest hour. They were acting like a group of friends trying to solve a really tough puzzle, excited by the challenge. Before we do this, Haenul said to Min Seo, I need to know, what does hold my beer mean? Min Seo laughed. It means we're about to do something so crazy that even we know it's crazy, but we're going to do it anyway. It's what humans say right before we attempt the impossible. And if it doesn't work? Haenul asked. Then we'll try something even crazier, Min Seo said with absolute certainty. That's another thing about humans. We don't know how to give up. We just keep trying crazier ideas until something works. As the Hope prepared for launch, Min Seo looked at her plan one last time. The aliens saw complex physics and impossible mathematics. The humans saw a chance to punch the universe's biggest bully right in its metaphysical nose. Sometimes the best plans weren't the ones that made the most sense. Sometimes the best plans were the ones that were just crazy enough to work. The Hope floated at the edge of the battle zone, its engines humming with power that shouldn't exist. Captain Du Hyun sat in his command chair, drinking what might be his last cup of coffee. Dr. Sangmei had modified the ship's sensors to detect paradoxes, which made the aliens nervous because it meant paradoxes were now measurable things. All systems are ready, Taiwan reported from his engineering station. He had rebuilt the ship's engines using parts from a microwave, 3 alien power cores, and what he swore was the world's luckiest rubber band. Though I should mention that the laws of physics are giving us some angry looks. Do Hyun nodded. Status report from all stations. Weapons ready, said the tactical officer. Though I'm not sure you can call them weapons anymore. They're more like reality correction tools. Navigation ready, called another crew member. Course plotted through dimensions that don't technically exist yet. Science station ready, Sangmei said through the communication link from her lab on Earth. Remember, when you see the purple sparks, that means space-time is getting annoyed. That's when you need to push harder. Jae-yun, who had insisted on joining this mission too, looked around the bridge in amazement. The humans weren't acting like they were about to attempt something that could destroy reality. They were acting like they were about to play the universe's biggest game of chess, and they had just figured out how to move the pieces in 3 dimensions. Beginning operation. Hold my beer, Du Hyun announced. Ta-1. Start the paradox engine. The ship's new engine, which looked like a disco ball having an argument with a black hole, began to spin. Reality around the ship started to bend. Colors that shouldn't exist appeared in the space around them. Sir, the sensor officer called out, The void cascade has noticed us. It's changing course to attack. Perfect. Do-hyun smiled. It's not a proper trap if they don't take the bait. Taiwan, show them what human engineering can do. Taiwan pressed a series of buttons that probably shouldn't have been connected to each other. The paradox engine spun faster. The ship began to exist in several places at once, which should have been impossible, but was now just another Tuesday for the crew. The cascade is trying to adapt to our pattern, Jae-yun reported, watching her alien sensors struggle to make sense of what was happening. That's the beauty of it, Do-hyun said. You can't adapt to something that doesn't make sense. And nobody's better at not making sense than humans. The void cascade, a force that had terrorized the galaxy, found itself facing something new. The humans weren't trying to fight it with normal weapons. They were fighting it with impossible ideas and broken physics. When it tried to predict their movements, it found the ship moving in ways that broke every rule of space and time. It's working. Sang-mi's excited voice came through the speakers. The cascade is trying to process what you're doing, but it can't because what you're doing literally cannot exist. The ship spun through space, dragging the confused void cascade behind it like a cosmic dog chasing a car made of paradoxes. Every time the cascade tried to adapt, the humans would do something even more impossible. Now for the final touch, Do-hyun said. Taiwan, activate what you call the reality hiccup. Taiwan grinned and pulled a lever that was partly made from an old video game controller. The paradox engine released a burst of energy that folded space like origami. The void cascade, trying to follow and adapt, tied itself into a knot of broken physics and impossible mathematics. As the crew watched, a section of the void cascade became trapped in the paradox, unable to escape because it couldn't understand how it had been caught. It was like watching a supercomputer crash because someone had asked it to divide by zero, but on a cosmic scale. We did it, Jae-yun whispered in awe. You trapped part of it in a paradox. Of course we did, Do-hyun said, finishing his coffee. The universe said it was impossible, so we just had to prove it wrong. That's what humans do best. The paradox trap had worked better than anyone expected. The void cascade was now split into smaller pieces, confused and weakened, but engineer Taiwan, watching the readings from his modified sensors, noticed something strange. These patterns, he said, pointing to the screen where waves of dark energy pulsed like a heartbeat. They're not random. They look almost like communication. Dr. Sang-mi rushed to his station, nearly spilling her coffee in excitement. You're right. The cascade isn't just destroying things. It's trying to talk. The alien representatives in the command center looked at each other in confusion. Talk? To what purpose? Hae-nul asked. It's a force of destruction. Maybe that's just because no one ever tried to listen, Sang-mi said. She was already connecting different devices together, building what she called a space-time telephone. Captain Do-hyun, who had seen enough strange things to believe almost anything, made a decision. If it wants to talk, let's talk. Taiwan, can you modify our paradox engine to send messages? Sure, Taiwan said, already taking apart what looked like an old radio. I'll just reverse the polarity of the neutron flow and add some quantum sparkles. That's not real science, one of the alien scientists protested. Neither is half the stuff we've done this week, Taiwan replied cheerfully. But it keeps working anyway. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Sang-mi and Taiwan built their communication device, while Min-seo worked on what she called a universal translator for cosmic horror. The aliens watched in a mixture of horror and fascination as the humans prepared to have a conversation with the force that had nearly destroyed the galaxy. Ready to transmit, Sang-mi announced. The device they had built looked like a cross between a satellite dish and a lava lamp, with parts of the paradox engine glowing in impossible colors. What should we say? Jae-yun asked. How about hello? Do-hyun suggested. Sometimes the simple way is the best way. They sent the message. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the void cascade's energy patterns changed. The dark storm in space shifted, forming shapes that the computer translated into words. "Why hate are you?" The message read. "We're humans," Do-hyun replied, "and we'd like to know why you're destroying everything." The answer came back in pulses of dark energy, searching for others, like me, breaking things to see if they break, like I do. Sangna's eyes went wide. "It's lonely," she whispered. "It's looking for others of its kind, but it doesn't know how to look without destroying things." "Then we should teach it," Min Seo said. She typed into the computer. "There are better ways to make friends than breaking their stuff." The void cascade paused. Its energy patterns showed confusion. "Other ways?" "Of course," Do-hyun said. "First, stop trying to destroy everything. Then we can help you look for others like you. We're pretty good at finding impossible things." The aliens watched in amazement as humans began teaching a cosmic horror about friendship and proper social behavior. It was like watching someone scold a hurricane for being too rough, and somehow getting the hurricane to apologize. "Only humans," Hae-Nul said, shaking her head with a smile, "would look at a force capable of destroying the galaxy and decide to make friends with it instead." "Well," Ta-Won said, still adjusting his impossible devices, "shooting at it didn't work. Talking usually works better than shooting anyway." As they continued their conversation with the void cascade, teaching it how to interact without destroying everything it touched, the humans proved once again why they were exactly what the galaxy needed. Not because they were great heroes, but because they were crazy enough to try making friends with the monster instead of fighting it. 1 month after the Void Cascade incident, the Galactic Council held a special meeting. The Great Chamber looked different now. Earth-style coffee machines stood in every corner, and the formerly strict seating arrangement had become more relaxed. Hae-Nul noticed that many council members had started copying human habits, like doodling during meetings, or using simple objects to explain complex ideas. "The galaxy has changed," Hae-Nul said, standing at the center of the chamber. "And perhaps that's exactly what we needed." She gestured to the Earth delegation, where Do-hyun sat drinking coffee while Soo-jin tried to explain human jokes to a group of fascinated aliens. "The Void Cascade is no longer a threat," Hae-Nul continued. "Not because we destroyed it, but because humans taught it how to make friends." She paused, smiling at the absurdity of that sentence. "They turned our greatest enemy into a curious student of the universe." On one of the floating screens, they could see the Void Cascade, now much smaller and gentler, following the human research ship like an eager puppy. Dr. Sangmai was teaching it about different types of stars, while engineer Ta-Won worked on what he called a cosmic translator to help it communicate better. "When we first contacted Earth," Hae-Nul said, "we thought we needed heroes. We thought we needed great warriors or brilliant scientists who would save us all. Instead, we found humans." The screens showed more images. Commander Yoon-gai teaching alien pilots how to drift between dimensions, Min Seo explaining human strategy games to military leaders, and Ta-Won horrifying alien engineers by improving their technology in ways that shouldn't work but somehow did. "Humans don't follow the rules," Hae-Nul continued, "because they're too busy trying to understand why the rules exist in the first place. They don't solve problems like heroes in ancient stories. They solve them like children with new toys, always asking what happens if we try this." Jae-yun, now Earth's official ambassador to the Council, stood up. "We've prepared a report about human integration into galactic society," she said. "Though I should warn you, it's mostly a list of rules we accidentally broke while trying to help." The chamber filled with laughter. It was another change the humans had brought. The council meetings used to be serious and formal. Now they included jokes, coffee breaks, and what humans called thinking outside the box. "Therefore," Hae-Nul announced, "I officially welcome Earth as a full member of the Galactic Council. Though we have added some new safety guidelines, specifically about not creating black holes without filling out the proper forms first. Do-hyun raised his hand. Quick question about those forms. What if we really need a black hole right now? Like for an emergency? That's exactly why we made the guidelines. Hae-Nul replied, but she was smiling. We've also created a new department, the Human Approach Research Division, because sometimes the best solution isn't the most logical one. Sometimes it's the one that makes everyone else say you can't do that. As the ceremony ended, Hae-Nul watched the humans already planning their next projects. Sang-Myat wanted to teach physics to more cosmic horrors. Ta-Dwan was redesigning faster-than-light engines to work more like skateboards. Min-Seo was explaining to alien strategists why sometimes the best battle plan was no plan at all. The galaxy had asked for heroes, and instead, they got humans. They got people who looked at impossible problems and said, "Hold my coffee." They got explorers who treated the laws of physics like polite suggestions. They got friends who would teach friendship to cosmic horrors. And somehow, that turned out to be exactly what the galaxy needed all along.